I am Brew Pierce, and I'm from San Francisco, California.
And I am Keith Robling, aka Rook, and I am from San Francisco as well.
Okay, so you're you guys are involved in the kink scene in San Francisco?
Yes,
we are.
I suppose my question for you guys is that a lot of people who have an interest in kink are unsure of how to get started or how to even contact people. What recommendations would you have for a younger person who's got an interest in kink but don't even know where to start? What would you recommend they start with?
Well, ideally with a mentorship program, if one's available. Even if there's not a program available, finding a mentor within the community can help guide somebody through some difficult hurdles and uncomfortable situations. That would be my primary. It's just finding that right match would be the next step.
So how would somebody find a mentorship program?
well, in San Francisco, we're lucky to have such a thing. Actually, it was started in San Francisco through the Leatherman's discussion group. Richard Sproat is heading it up, and then with a bunch of volunteers, they've created this really nice mentorship program where they match up mentees with mentors over a course of time to help guide them, answer questions, get them introduced into whatever interest they happen to have kink-wise. And I mean, it just depends on each round. A session has different mentees who have different needs. And so how would you, I mean...
Yeah, I went through that particular mentorship program as a mentee, and I found it invaluable. I went into it because I had always had the interest of what submission meant to me, but I was too nervous to explore that, and perhaps even some self-shaming for wanting to be in that role. And I found that the mentorship program really helped me support me through that period, and I got so much out of it. I did.
But how did you find it?
Just on the website. Yeah.
So what's the name of the group? So I'll pop a link for the website below, but what's the group?
So the Leatherman's discussion group, it is based in San Francisco. It is a local. It's not something that you can engage in, at least as of yet, on the internet.
Okay. So one of the big issues, right, is that for people who don't live in San Francisco, is like you go on to Recon or insert app here, and they get "you will call me sir" and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, hang on, I don't even know who the fuck you are. But young people don't really know that this person may not even be a master. It could just be a 15-year-old masturbating for all we know. But
right.
Do you have any thoughts on, like, if you're not from San Francisco and don't have access, is there a way to verify the person I'm talking to is legit, or?
That's hard, internet-wise.
It is difficult internet-wise. I would say that your best bet, even if you were in person and not on the internet, is to know people that person knows, if that's at all possible. If somebody's not willing to disclose who they are, that's, in my book, a red flag.
Or references, like, hey, I'm a little unsure. Do you have any people I could vouch for you? Do you have any references? I mean, confident people will be like, sure, here. And as to where the fake wankers on there looking for the cheap thrills or looking to lure innocent people, no, they're not going to. They'll be like, don't you know who I am? Crap.
Okay, so I suppose to get really down to the nitty-gritty, how would you word that?
Well, I'm a blunt person, so
right.
I mean,
right.
So for me, I mean, I'm very blunt and I appreciate open, honest communication. So I would just say, hey, thanks for your interest, but I don't know you, and can you give me some references? I just state it up front of, like, here's what I'm looking for, here's what I need if you want this to continue, and if you can't meet these things, then click bye.
I've seen a couple of people online who they will meet a dom or a master, and within 48 hours they're packing their bags and ready to move to Iowa. Any thoughts on that?
Severe eye roll. No, I mean, I can't judge because everyone has different needs, values, feelings, validations. It's not something I would do, but I don't want to invalidate somebody that maybe they had that connection, maybe they, I would just say slow it down. I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah, there's no particular rush, in my opinion. Why not wait, a little while to see where it goes? Because, rushing into something is only going to exacerbate issues that aren't even known quite yet, because you don't know each other enough. I get the excitement, and it's wonderful, to be that excited about meeting somebody new and wanting to explore that further. But that could be done incrementally and in a very sexually stimulating way that can actually, in my opinion, make it better.
Yeah, because I get it. I get the fantasy. I get the desire and the lure for it. But you also have to look at the reality. An online personality is much different than a person in real life. A long distance relationship is much different than a 24/7 upfront, personal, close relationship.
Because some people, they talk about, well, I want to be a slave 24/7.
The fantasy and idea of 24/7 slave or pup or whatever, it's a nice idea. It's a great book or online blog fantasy or whatever, but the reality is the body can't handle, at least for pup, the demands on it. And as far as being somebody's 24/7 slave, same thing is no master or top has the attention span to monitor or direct or protocols another human being 24/7. It's just not possible. I mean, yeah, they can give them rules and stuff, but again, the mind and the body you can't do it. You need breaks, you need change, you need input, there's just too many variables that, again, book material, internet porn, hey, it sounds hot, but reality is different, which is where when people do meet, they talk, they start figuring things out. It's like, sure, you are my pup 24/7. And in the words of maybe a collaring or things like that, sure. But the reality is, I have to go to the job, I have to go to the bathroom, I have to eat, and same thing on either spectrum is you have to deal with these things. And people forget about that.
Well, I think people can do the 24/7, in my opinion. There's ways that that can be done where a master releases a slave to be able to do what they need to do within a certain period of time, and phrase it in a way that is under the control of the master. So I think it's possible to do that with an attention to the emotional needs of all parties involved.
Would you have any recommendations for first meet? So you're meeting a sub or you're meeting a dom for the very first time. From your experience, or from what you've seen happen, both good and bad, do you have any recommendations for a way to manage that first meeting with somebody that you've never really met before?
I would say it's probably a good idea to let somebody that you're close to know. Mostly if you're intending to have some sort of sexual play with that person. Otherwise, if you're doing it in a public venue, which is what I've typically done, yeah, you have some security involved there. And that's typically what I've done is when I've met somebody, I've just gone to a public place initially and had a chat. And then if it's in a place that is kink friendly, all the better. There's things that that I've done that aren't overtly sexual, but are within the power play dynamic that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I'd say find a neutral territory. Don't go to his house. Don't come to your house. Find some kind of neutral public venue, a coffee shop, a park. Just somewhere where you're on equal territory. And also I would list expectations ahead of time. Are we discussing this? Are we discussing sex? Are we discussing just intermeeting each other? What is it? Again, expectations. If everyone knows what everyone's expectations are, there won't be disappointment, there won't be surprises. And then way back when, that was always the thing of let a friend know. It's your little safety net. And just, I've had a lot of people say, if you don't hear from me in an hour, call. Just check in with me in an hour, see how I'm doing. Check with me 2 hours, whatever, but set up a little time thing like, hey, if I don't text you in an hour, call me, because it may be trouble. If I don't respond, here's where I am, here's what's going on. But it's just this little safety.
And even more so, what I found helpful was going to group events where if they're available in your area, I really highly suggest it, because you can go into the vulnerable positions when there's multiple people, including a dungeon master that's available, that's watching, and gives you a little bit more security with that. And
sometimes if you go to a group event, you can actually, you already said, you can find people who can vouch for, is this person, hey, I've just been having a drink with this guy, what do you think? And if their eyes roll or if they fall over and have a seizure, then that's a bad sign, I imagine. There's that. But the other thing is that you can observe, right, that even if you aren't meeting somebody, but if you're interested in a scene, you could turn up to that event and see the full spectrum of whatever's going on in that group, whether it be a pup group or whether it be a BDSM group or something like that. So you at least know what's on the table.
Right. I found that, you don't even have to play the first several times you go. You can start slowly and have introductions and see how people are playing and see if you want to maybe join that person at some point. And after that particular person's scene, you can, start up a discussion to see if that might be a good connection.
I mean, that's what I did with my former. When I was much in my 20s, I watched him for months. I saw him, how he reacted in the bar to people and interacted. And then the couple events I saw him, I just kept hovering watching because I was just a little shy and stuff. And then finally I started asking a few people, like, who do you know? What do you know about this guy? What's he like? And then finally, chance, we ran into each other at an event and things went off and we had a fantastic night. But I do want to touch on, so I'm very gregarious, so I have no issues with going up to people and talk to people. But for those people who are shy or quiet or nervous or something, what we're talking about may not resonate with them, because I'm just like, oh, hey, fine, boom. For those type of people, and again, if you come from a small town or isolated country or something like that, back in the days, it was the bar scene. That's where the socialization happened. And so for there, what you would say, what advice was, is go up to the bartender. Or if you have a kinky store in your area, go up to the sales people and just introduce bartenders, party hosts, dungeon monitors, salespeople at kinky stores are super friendly. That's part of why they're doing the job that they're doing. Use them as a resource. And even if you're shy, you can just pull them aside to the side and say, hey, I'm really shy and nervous and new to this. Could you help me? 9 times out of 10, they'll be happy to give you information, to guide you. But don't do it during, they're in the middle of a transaction or it's a crazy, I'm trying to, dish out 20 drinks to a line of 20 people. No, that's not the time to do it. But find the right time to approach them and you'll be amazed at how much resource and help that you'll get from them. Now, if you live in another country where you don't have those accesses, it's a little harder. But again, I would try Facebook groups, look for the kinky ones, try and get involved. Like for the puppies, there's the Puppy 101 group that has 10,000 members now or something like that you can ask to join. And once you join, you can just say, hey, I'm new, I live in this country, can anybody help me? And you'd be surprised how people will be, offering advice, offering what to do.
And they call out predators as well. I've noticed that if there's somebody who's particularly nasty in a community, you should find out their name fairly quickly.
Correct.
And I would caution not necessarily to believe everything you hear just because somebody says that they're experienced. You want to be cautious with with that is once you get to know people, and the more people you're familiar with, I think you kind of get settled in to your and comfortable. But there's a lot of people out there that do play games, and you just want to be reasonable with that.
How reliable do you think your gut sense is, that when you meet somebody and you get a sense that this isn't right?
Mine's pretty accurate, actually. I mean, I've been pretty lucky with that. So yeah, I would say listen to your gut. I mean, everyone has pretty good basic instincts. Just listen to them. If you're getting that not sure, or red flags, or whatever sense of listen to it. It's pretty accurate.
If you were in a situation like that, do you have any recommendations if somebody wants to extract themselves from a situation that they're not feeling comfortable with? How would you recommend that somebody get out of that situation?
Do you mean during sexual play, or do you mean even before that?
Say even if they'd met, but I suppose even during sexual play, it can happen that tides can change in the middle of play. And
well, again, I'm older, so I've lived a little bit of life, so I just don't put up bullshit. I mean, I'm just direct. I'm like, yeah, let me stop you now. This isn't working. And they may be offended, and blah, blah, and I'm like, and I can say, there's just not a connection. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're a nice guy, but I'm just not feeling it for you. And I hope you have a good night. And I'll excuse myself. But for people who are a little more shy or not as direct, or bathroom excuse. Again, phone. I mean, I can just say, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hold on. I gotta take this call real quick. And you can excuse yourself. And, it's a little slimy, but you could excuse yourself, and you can just text the guy, because I assume you've exchanged numbers of that information, or recon, and just say, sorry, I had to dart away, or hey, it didn't work out, but thanks for meeting me. You don't have to be a total dick, but if you're shy about that, just excuse yourself. You're an adult. You can say no. You can leave. There's nobody holding a gun at your head saying, don't move. You're not chained to that table or chair or whatever. Just,
well, hopefully.
Well, okay, maybe. But my point is, you're an adult. You can make adult decisions, and you have the right to say no, and you have the right to say enough, or it's not working for me, and just excuse yourself.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to avoid uncomfortable conversations. It's easy to do, and I know that people who want to take on the submissive role often don't want to enjoy what is their power to stop. We all need to realize that everybody that's within that play has that ability and right to do so.
And also the right to discuss a plan. So a lot of people who are new to submissive don't necessarily understand that before they submit, that there should be a meeting on equal grounds where you can say, well, this is what I would like to experience today, and that negotiation that would happen before the scene has started.
Well, definitely.
Well, especially the negotiation, especially of time. How much time? Health issues. That's one that always gets overlooked. Do I have any health issues that you need to be aware about? Do you have any health issues that I need to be aware of? And yeah,
also,
expectations.
Not only expectations, but if you are new, say you're new, that you're interested in something,
yes.
Because somebody can, gradually adjust that particular item. Like if you're you're interested in impact play, it doesn't have to start out with a bullwhip. There's a lot of ways to test out your interest before feeling like you need to be at that level.
And that's important because it stops nasty surprises, but it also stops disappointments as well. That if you're a beginner, and then you're better off to be matched with somebody who's good with beginners than if you don't want to be hit with a rattan first time out of the gate. So
also
maybe not the second.
But also, again, I'm going back to expectations. If you're talking to this person, make sure you have the same expectations. Hey, I like to get, flogged. Hey, I like to tie up. it's not going to work, but if you're just like, hey, let's go have sex, and he's trying to tie you up and you're like, what the hell, and you're like really want to get flogged, he's not happening, there's all this disappointment on both sides. I mean, again, and then say, hey, I'm new, I really don't know what I want. I'm willing to try things, but I'm a little bit nervous, I'm a little scared, I'm not sure what I like. Suggest some stuff, because I know a lot of times the top will say, tell me what you like. And some of these new people will have no idea. I mean, usually what I'll tell people is like, when they ask you that, what do you masturbate to? You actually do have an idea of what you like, because trust me, when you're jacking off, masturbating, images are in your head. There's something that your mind is zeroing on that really gets you off. Is it a biker look? Is it the boots? Is it Batman, Robin bondage scene? Is it, Catwoman with a single tail? I mean, there's something in your mind, video, books, fantasy, something that your mind is like, ooh, that was hot, and you're jacking off to it. That would be a good thing. It's like, well, I'm not sure if I like this, but I know that I liked it when I saw Wonder Woman getting tied up. I don't know, something about it. Or I saw, the werewolf overpowering this guy and ravaging him. I don't know what that is, but that idea really appeals to me. And that gives some feedback to the person then. It's a start.
How easy is it to differentiate between the butterflies of anticipation and a feeling of this is bad in the gut? Is that an easy thing to do? Or
Not always.
No. No. Because they can be confused. It can be a mixture of both. Because everybody gets nervous in anticipation and anxious of rejection, of not performing well, so you got that mix going on.
But hopefully with that conversation, that initial conversation and negotiation, you get a more of a feel for your partner or partners, and hopefully you work out some of that anxiety at the front end before things start.
But the other thing is, it's one of the things I come across when talking to the mentees. I'm a mentor. And so everyone is anxious. Everyone. And I try to remind them when people look up to mentees or look up to community leaders and stuff, and they go, oh my God, these people are so amazing. Well, guess what? They started where you were 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago. These people that you look up to or you see blogged or posted or write books or whatever, they all started where you were. They were all scared and nervous and anxious and didn't know and were unsure. And just remember that you're not alone. Everyone feels this in the beginning, and you just kind of slowly overcome it by experiences. A lot of people are like, how can I fit into the community? How can I find my way? How can I find my purpose? And I just tell people, just explore, talk, meet, communicate. Again, you're not the first person. You see these community leaders or hosts that host these amazing parties, and you're like, oh my God, I wish I was like that. Or how do they do it? Well, they all started somewhere, and you just follow your heart, follow your belief, and don't worry about that. We all started where you are, and just through a little encouragement and perseverance, you will become a member of the community. You will do it, and the best way to do it, just my opinion, is volunteer. Find a group, find an organization, find something that you're passionate about, that you have an interest in, and volunteer. And it's a great way to meet people. It's a good way to observe the community, and then people can observe you and get involved. And next thing you know, you're developing friendships. You're creating impact and change. And you're like, wow, I never, a year from now, I never realized where I've gone, what I've done.
Yeah.
Of course, all of this assumes, and that's all true. It all assumes that you have a community, you have people in your immediate area, and if you don't, and you still have the desires, it makes it a lot more complicated, I would imagine. But you still don't want to force a relationship just because it happens to be convenient or nearby.
Yeah. So we've had a great conversation, thank you. In wrapping up, do you have any top tips for young players that you would want to impart to them?
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's a lot of fun, but I think that our ultimate point is to be wise and make some safety precautions, and basically listen to your gut and make those very powerful connections with people, because we will look out for each other.
And my thing is, don't give up hope. Be patient. There's resources out there. You may not know it, but you'll find them. Trust me, with this internet, it's out there. You're not alone. Everyone feels and has felt the way you are. So, yeah, just pursue your dream. Follow your heart. You'll fit in. You'll find your kink. You'll find who you are through experience and time. Just give time.